If you have not signed in with your name and library, make sure you do that in the chat. I see a few people still joining. I was not sure who all would come today, so I'm happy you're here if you came. And like I say, it's going to be a short meeting, but you're welcome to stay for our working session if you are interested in that. We definitely don't want to say, okay, you have to leave. So let me see here if I can. Well, I'm clicking. There we go. All right. So here is our agenda for today. There's really just a few things to get through unless somebody else has something else. So I just want to make sure that every library realizes that you may get redirected when you go into the catalog from the patrons side. So you'll see this little these sentences. If you click here, it does take you to the right place. Some libraries have reported not seeing it. Other libraries have reported seeing it. So I don't know why some and others not, but it is there purposefully. And so clicking on it is not, everybody's so don't click on links, don't do that kind of thing. So, but this does take you to the patron view of the catalog.
I want to mention, we had a patron mention that it's also happening strictly on the patron OPAC as well. It's not just when we access it from the staff client.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, if that's happening, we might need to put something on the main catalog or have some kind of a notice for the public.
Disclaimer type of. Okay.
Is that just when they click on the catalog link, it pops up with that, or do you know what they're clicking on to see that message?
Somebody was trying to print a list and it did it to them.
Oh, okay.
I know one of our supervisors at one of our locations contacted me this morning saying they had just noticed it on their card catalog too.
Well, definitely it's on the OPAC. It would seem like we might need something. I'm not sure what it's like, go ahead, click this link. It's okay. I don't know that that's going to make me want to click the link, but surely they can figure out something that they could add. If anybody has any ideas of what we'd like them to say, feel free to jump in there. Okay.
I
All right.
heard anybody at our library say anything about it, and I tested it both ways. I don't see it. So
see, that's what's it's not consistent.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll give Dale or John a call and maybe talk through what's going on with them. Anyway. All right. If I find out any news when I talk to them, I will email it out. I can see if they can do something on the disc, some kind of disclaimer on there that, yes, Missouri Evergreen has chosen to do this. So, yada, 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 that kind of thing. So, okay. For some of you who got here early, you heard Anita and I already talking about this. The Kansas City hub has had some disruption. All of last week, Cass County didn't get anything until Friday, late afternoon. Trails was having trouble with their things coming in. Things are not being picked up and sent back out. So I have been on the phone with Mala, and with the new courier people, but I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that if you are ordering something from, and it's likely to come from a Kansas City hub library, there are issues there that they are still trying to work out, and it may take you longer to get your things than normal. So if it's something that your person wants like quickly, you may want to either do a copy hold or pick a place that it's going to come from that's not there. If Kansas City is the only the libraries that show up on the item you want it's all coming from Kansas City. I have not heard that every library in the Kansas City hub is having trouble, but if you get very much stuff from Trails or from us, you definitely will have a slowdown there. So, all right. The SMS messages, the 2-week report thing has been going out. Has everybody been working through that process? How is that? Have you seen your numbers go down?
We're a
Yeah.
little bit all over the place. One week we'll only have a couple, and then the next time we get it, we'll have a chunk. But we are able to work through everything. So that's going pretty well for us so far.
Have been a little confused about why a patron will show up on the report 2 to 4 weeks after I removed SMS as a hold notification option for that patron, especially when they have said opt out. And then I go into their account to remove that as an option. I make a note with the date, and they have shown up on several subsequent reports. So I'm not positive why.
I sent
I haven't
out
seen that.
I don't know, maybe a week or two ago, a bug report where, and I can resend that out so you can add heat. They say there is a fix, but it's in test mode. I mean, I get it. They don't want to apply something and then have it mess other things up. But apparently the bug is going back and it's choosing whether to send it a phone call or an email or a text message even though you have taken those things out of their contact method preferences. And so it doesn't do it all the time, but it does occasionally. This last time I had 2 people that, just like you, Heather, I had already made sure there was no phone number in the, even for any chance that it could go through, and they still were getting messages. So I can send that out at the end of the meeting again. I'll have to hunt for it to find it, but hopefully I can. And then if more people add heat, maybe they'll bump that up to more of a priority.
I think we should do that. I mean, that does cost us money. All the text messages we send cost money, so
Right.
that's
Yeah,
something
and
for
I
us to keep in
noticed
mind.
probably 70-80% of mine were like the 30-day expiration notices for their card. And I didn't realize that was automatically probably set for text. I thought it was primarily email. So I was going to do my own local settings check to see.
We've had some people come in when they get those 30-day notifications that think they have to come in right this second, which clearly it's a problem that they don't read it. But I wish we could turn that off, because if it expires, they just can't keep using it. So then they just have to come in.
Right. I think, am I wrong? But isn't that just a local system setting that it's not MLC required? I mean, not MLC,
I
MEC.
believe it used to be a local setting. But I think when we moved to Message Bee, they gave them
Oh,
a stock thing, here's the messages, this is when they're going to go out. I can double check on that too.
I think that's what Steve Potter told me, but I'm not
Okay.
100% either.
That it's just a stock list.
Yes, that you
Okay.
can't choose. It's just consortium wide.
Yeah, because we had to narrow down kind of what we were, because we couldn't do everything. So we had to narrow down and kind of select the few that probably made the most sense.
Mhm.
And I think he did that based on numbers of libraries who had those things set that way, or Steve usually did it by data. So
I mean, I do like the messages going out, but yeah, now that we're doing the error messages with the message B, I think a lot of them are going to be those because they're expired cards and people probably have changed phones.
Yeah. Okay, so just over Juneteenth, I don't know if Message Bee was closed, or I know Equinox itself was closed, so that might have been what slowed down some messages going out over that time period. But we're back to the last one said 94% success rate, so that's still pretty good. All right. Beginning in July, next month, there will be a new Zoom login because I made like a year of them in advance. And so this is the last one of the old meeting. So if you have saved that Zoom login, use the new one. I will send the link to Ron so that he can get it posted on the MEC calendar. But if you use that old link next month, you will not see any of the rest of us. So make sure you pay attention to that. Is there anything else that people would like to bring before the committee before we just go on into our working session? Okay. You can always jump in and say, okay, I've got something else. So, all right, so moving on, let me see if I can share. Let me see. Share this. This new computer I'm less than happy with it so far, but I'm gonna get better. So I sent you guys on the committee the grid of what you need to what you should be looking at. And then I sent you also this working list of things to consider. So for those of you who are just, let's see if it'll, okay, here we go. Here's the big list of like 600 some things that we are looking at, the differences between circulators and circulation administration.
I'm just
So,
seeing the Word document. I'm not sure if you're intending to show the spreadsheet. I just wanted to let you know, just in case.
well, it didn't take me there. It took me there, but it didn't take you there. Well, darn the bad luck. All right, let's see. Let's try it again. I don't think it's going to do it. Heather, do you have it to where you could click it and share that?
I
It's
do.
fighting with me.
That's fine. I just have to get all the way back down. Okay. One How is that?
Yay, yay, there we go.
Excellent. Let me know when to scroll. I will be your scroller.
Okay, so working through that list that we had of things that need to be adjusted, does anybody on the committee have problems with those first two things of adding to Circ and adding to Circ admin? Okay, I guess just go ahead and say yes or no. Because when it's quiet, I don't know if you're thinking or if you're.
So now I'm looking at the grid, but when you say the first two things, you mean the first two things on the
On
Word
the
document that we had
list.
been looking at?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to find that.
Let's go back and look at, we could maybe look at that.
I don't have that one handy, so I'm going to stop.
Are we talking about adding run simple reports and updated pickup library from transit?
Right.
Yes, those, I agree. We should add those.
I think, Rhonda, didn't you and I talk about this briefly? I think I have a CircAdmin login and I already have run simple reports, so I'm confused.
Well, technically, when you look at the grid of what is on there, it is not on Circ admin. It doesn't show up. And so perhaps it's something that's been granted to you, possibly by Kate there. I don't know, but it's not on the stock. Because if you go down, so there's run reports, but there's not run simple reports. So I think this list was originally created or came from before simple reporters kind of became a thing. And so I know Jennifer Weston has said it's not on the stock Circ admin thing. So if you have it, woohoo. But I think if they're going to be able to, if a Circ admin person can run a report, they should be able to run a simple report. Yes, everybody, yes. Okay.
Yes.
I will voice and say yes.
Okay, good. And so then the other one on that list was the thing for allowing circulators to change the destination of something that's already in transit. So does anybody have trouble with that? It would seem like I would like I guess my reasoning is, I think I would like my frontline staff to be able to, if somebody came in and said, okay, I want to pick it up at this other branch, that we could go ahead and change it at that. And instead of waiting until it gets all the way there, I mean, it's still going to come to us, but it's still going to come to the original if it's already in transit. But as soon as you receive it, it would automatically send it on to that next place. So that seems like a reasonable thing.
That seems reasonable. So it's something that's, I mean, in transit, where in transit is it? Like, is it in coming down the road right now? You know what I mean? So if it's already literally on the way to my branch, does the system know that? And so you don't really make the change, even though you tell the patron you did, because
Well,
it's
for example, with us having multiple branches, if one was, say, going to our Aurora location, but someone wanted to pick it up in Monette, if the staff was not able to make that change, when that item got to like the Aurora branch, it wouldn't automatically say it needed to go to Monette. We would have to actually call and then like have them kind of make a note and just get it on the delivery to go to the right place, unless they contacted me, who would have admin privileges to be able to do that.
This is so much more trouble to do
So,
it that way.
yeah,
and
but
there's a
what you're
chance that it
saying-
falls
Right.
through the cracks.
Right. So once I get it here in Neosho and it's supposed to be in Seneca and I scan it, I have to call somebody and say, this was supposed to be with you. So it'll go on Thursday to our local transit.
Right. So by having this at the front line, like Rhonda said, I think it'll eliminate a lot of mistakes or, time barriers if someone wasn't able to get a hold of anyone.
It's still going to make it come to the wrong place, but it should automatically then transit onto the, spit out the transit slip to go on to
Yeah,
the
so
next place.
so physically it will go ahead because it's literally coming down the road to Neosho, but the patron came in and said, I'm gonna be sick, I can't get there, I'm gonna be in Seneca that day or whatever. And it comes to me and I scan it, it says take to Seneca, and I throw out the
Yes.
Seneca. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, see.
And that way it wouldn't be maybe on your hold shelf waiting,
Right.
assuming that the person
Okay.
is going to be picking it up there.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so we're good with me telling Jennifer Weston, yes, these are in. Yes, okay,
Yes,
good.
please.
Yeah.
All right, possible additions to consider here. View trigger event to Circ admin and view trigger event definition to Circ admin. And what this allows you to do is in a patron or any account, go in under other, there is a place you can click for triggered events, and you can see every notice that has gone out for holds. You can click, there's Circ and there's holds, and you have to toggle back and forth between those. But that's where you can see if your patron actually had an SMS message generated, actually had an email generated, the date it was sent, and what it was sent for. So right now you can look at under notes, you can see some of those things, but you don't see the full list of it. And so to me, that extra information, it's not changing anything that's already happened. It's just a way to see for your Circ admin person to be able to say, okay, this message was sent this day, and you know whether things are going out. So discussion on that.
So this was my suggestion because I have granted it to several folks in the MLC. We do not see notices under notes in
Oh,
any
okay.
way. So this
Okay.
is our check for, well, how did the notice go out? What day did it go out via? And so we can try to work with the patron when we're troubleshooting notices. I'll save questions about the notes and notices that other people can apparently see. But
Yeah,
Yeah, why
that's
don't
I've
you see
suggested.
them?
When you hover, and if you go into somebody's account and look at their notes, when you hover over note text, it tells you everything about that deal. This was a notice sent, a
So
courtesy
I'm looking at a
notice.
patron right now, and when I am under triggered events notifications, I can see that we have sent text messages at least 20. And then when I'm under notes, I see 2 notes that were migrated in, and there are no notices listed of any type.
I'm in
Gather
I'm
that's
in a
not
patron
common.
account in the notes, and that's
Can
where
you
see everything.
can you see
That's
SMS?
correct.
Terry, can you
I-
see SMS
Um,
messages, or are you
let's
just
see.
seeing
I'm gonna
email?
look right now. This is, how can I tell? This was email. I guess they are all email.
I've never
Yeah, I
under
can read
any
every
patron
word.
for the MLC ever seen any type of notice under
I
notes
can
or
see every
archive
word this
notes.
person has. I mean, I'm looking at 100 right now, but they're all, looks like they're
I'll
all
look into
email.
that separately, but that is why I asked that it be included. So even on my own account, which I know receives emails, there are no notes of any kind.
Interesting.
Heather, I think if it helps you guys at MLC to have that, and I don't think it negatively would impact anybody to have that turned on. So I don't see why we shouldn't just go ahead and do it while you're investigating the notes issue, because that would annoy me greatly. So
I don't think I knew
I'm-
that was as an option. So that's
So I did-
interesting on its
I
own.
did find this same patron all her text notices as well, so I can see exactly what the wording was, when they were sent, what time and everything.
Under notes or under,
In her notes,
Triggered
under
events.
note text. No, just in her notes. I just went to
in
notes.
Cass County, I can't see any SMS.
So if you, under your, of course, now maybe I have the settings, the columns, my column picker set, and I have note text chosen. If you don't have that chosen, you wouldn't see that.
But there are
No, we do.
no entries for the notices. There are no
Yeah, that's what we're
entries.
saying. We don't see them at all.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we already have this, I guess is what I'm saying. Is that right?
Maybe.
I don't want to make it harder, but I personally, we have like more information than I really think we want, but
yeah, Terry, ours is working and theirs is not. So I want to give them
I
a way
see.
to, I want to give them a workaround until they can figure
There
out
you go.
how to get theirs working.
I got you. Perfect. I love that. Okay.
Just as somebody who has access to the um the trigger notices thing, having it separate from the notes is kind of really helpful, because if I'm looking for something really specific when I'm going to the view trigger events, or versus when I'm going to their notes to look up like the whole back history of, claims returned or whatever they may have.
Mhm. Yeah. So we have everything. We have the triggered event log and the whatever that is I get to see on their account.
Right. Well, and so it could be because you have extra permissions that have been granted, that you might not have even realized were granted, but that are not on the stock,
Mm.
what you get when you come into Missouri Evergreen. So,
Right.
all right, committee, this is, anybody say no on adding view trigger event definition? Okay. I'm going to take that as we're good with that. Okay, so now moving on down, mark item damage. This one is one that I can see it both ways. Currently, Circ admin does not even have mark item damaged clicked. The way it works for Circ admin is you have view billing type and you have update copy. And because you have both of those things, we can mark something, Circ admin can mark something damaged. Circulators do not have update copy. And that's what is, which is probably a good idea. But do we want them to add in for circulators the ability to mark something damaged? So I guess I'd really, if you are on this call and you have circulators at your library, I guess I've talked to a couple of libraries and I've gotten different responses. Some libraries want it to have to go to an admin person, and some people are like, yes, can we change that so I don't have to stop, your admin person doesn't have to stop what they're doing so that they can do this. So,
Rhonda, I'll chime in. The way we work is it's frontline staff who are doing it, but it's not just any frontline staff member. It's basically our person in charge at the time who makes that decision. So I would be in favor of circulators having this permission, but that's, I think we're smaller, so it would slow us down a lot if they had to wait for me to damage an item out. So.
Well, currently there are 23 libraries that have that utilize circulators and circ admin. The rest of everybody is just all on circ admin. And so I guess if you didn't want your person to mark an item damaged, it's a training thing and you say, don't do it. It has to go through this person, or do we want to say no? It has to. So,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
At our library, I'm the one that, I guess I'm a circ admin. When an item is marked damaged and they are paying for the item, we check for replacement cost, whether that item might have increased or decreased. So our frontline staff, where we have a small staff, just doesn't have the time or the ability to get on to like Ingram to check for pricing. So that falls back to me, and I mark it damage, check the price. If I'm not here, then my director or the cataloger can do it. So there's 3 of us here that do it, but our frontline staff does not, because just of the time to market damage, check to see if the price is current or if it needs to be increased or decreased. So. Hope you all understood that.
So let me ask you this. Would you have a problem if we granted that permission, but then you instructed your circ people who are at the, frontline people to still maintain the procedure that you already have? Or are you concerned that they would start trying to circumvent your procedure that you already have in place?
Well, they wouldn't have an account, like with Ingram to check pricing.
Right.
So they would have to come back to me. So since they already have to come back to me, then that's just double time, them setting it to damage and, and if they could set it to damage and then, come to me and say, we need to check the price for this book because I set it to damage, then, we can make the change. But that's just how we do it. I thought it was that each library could set their settings to each one, but maybe I misunderstood that.
Well, it would be something that is grantable. Equinox could grant it to some libraries, and then if other libraries didn't want to have it, it's just, I don't know that anybody even knows that it's a grantable
Right.
permission.
So are we just
Rhonda-
talking about, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Terry. I was just going to ask really quick. Can you or someone tell me, like, in your libraries, what positions have circulators and what positions have circ administrators? Because I don't believe ours are differentiated, and I think they should be. So like, is it frontline? Because I think our frontline staff all have the circulator administrator, and I don't know if that's, anyway, I just was curious in different size libraries what you guys are using those permissions, like what staff members or what types of staff members you're using those for.
Yeah, that's a great question.
It also depends on when you joined Evergreen.
Yes.
Mobius always did it. You had circ admin admin, cataloging admin and circ admin. That's just how it was. You got 3 accounts. Each staff member didn't have their own accounts. At least not in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure for us, I mean, I'll admit I'm not an admin person for permissions and everything, so this is a little out of my depth. But I'm pretty sure the way that we're set up is that all of our frontline circulation people use a Circ admin login. Probably because of some of these permissions that they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, same for-
Is
Exactly.
my guess,
Sure.
and also because we've been part of the consortium for a while, so it was like Jake said, that's how they set it up. Mobius was still our people.
Yeah, we joined in 2019 and I think we mostly used just circulators, but then we granted additional permissions based on what we actually wanted our staff at the time. So ours is kind of a mix. So there are some things even on this list that ours are currently able to access, but they are just circulators. And then I have the system admin, so some things go through me as far as that goes.
Yeah, we're the same way. My other question on this damage thing, are we just talking about our own items? Or are we talking about consortium wide?
It would be consortium wide if we choose to do this, just like a Circ admin. But I mean, we're still calling that, you would still call that other library. If it was somebody else's things, they would be the one who mark it damaged, not us. But it
Right.
is, does that answer
Yeah,
your
so
question?
for me, it wouldn't really change it. I wouldn't change my procedure at all because once a staff person marks something damaged, it comes to me. And then I contact the library. I don't really want our turnaround is so great. I don't want them having to deal with calling other libraries because Susie might call it Monday, but she gets fired Tuesday. And so Wednesday it's,
But
so-
you're okay with them marking it damaged and billing
yes,
as opposed to looking up a price, or you're going with the
Right.
price that's already in there.
because our rule is someone has to second that damaging. Just visually, and if it's me especially, and I know this book has been around the block a time or two, I'm going to adjust the price anyway. So
Yeah.
if it's them and they're new, they always have to go to another person and they can help them work through that. But yes, it won't really change anything for us.
The MLC is pretty similar to most of the other people that have spoken. That usually the default for people who are working the front desk is circulation administrator because the circulators didn't have enough oomph for our people. So if
Yeah,
we don't
agreed.
have very many group logins anymore, but our group circ logins are circulation administrators.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I personally am not, I'm still undecided whether I think it is a good thing or not. Correct. If we don't put it in there, if we don't add it to circulators, then perhaps what needs to happen is directors possibly need to see, okay, when you do your person as a circulator, this is what they're going to get. And if you want them to be able to do this, but then, I mean, that goes into probably the can. I don't know. They are on, Leanne, are you still here?
Yeah, I am.
So do they go through that with new?
Right. There's kind of they have spreadsheets that they go through with the staff that's being trained, and they go through most of the permissions with them and they select what their preferences is. Now, that's one thing. If we can come up with a good set of circulation versus circ admin, then it kind of simplifies things. And then they can just say, okay, this is what you're going to get with this profile.
Well,
And it takes away some of the individual things. Because I know with us, that's where we started out with circulators, because you could add, but you couldn't remove permissions. So that's kind of what we did instead of giving the full admin to our staff, because there were some things we did not want them to do.
yeah. No, I mean, there's a whole section in the admin manual that we're going to work through eventually on that. But the thing is a new library, if we're talking about new libraries and not us, they don't know what they need. So
They
maybe-
don't.
Right, that's the challenge. So I think if we have kind
Yeah.
of the basic guide and explain, this is the basics that most everyone is using. If you feel something needs added, that could
Right.
be.
and work through what do you already do? Maybe they're already, they don't really like realize that they are already giving their circ staff these permissions. They don't even realize they're already doing that because they've never encountered that. But
Right.
Okay, so Leanne, does that mean you're leaning toward not including it and then saying, as especially new libraries are coming in, there, you can add permissions to this if you don't
Well,
want them?
I'm actually, I
are
think
you-
for going ahead, I don't know that it would be a huge, issue at the libraries if it was just there, because if they're training and have their own procedures, as long as their staff is following the procedures, it shouldn't cause any issue with that. I think in general, it might be best to allow. That way staff can go ahead and make the change there in real time and not have to wait and it sit on someone's desk for a while. So you know that that status is there. And there's always reports that can be run too. If there's questions on, okay, too many things are getting mark damaged, you can run the damaged reports. So I'm
Okay.
leaning, I think, for it.
So committee people, Terry, yay or nay?
I am in favor of it.
Okay, Heather? I see you shaking your head. Leanne said yes.
I'm also in favor. Yeah.
Jennifer,
I'd be in favor.
did I miss somebody that's on the call on the committee?
I'm in favor of it, Rhonda. It's
Okay,
Belinda.
yes, sorry, Belinda. You
No
were there
worries.
and I forgot. Okay, so that one, we're gonna say, go ahead and do it, and then it's more of a procedural thing for your library, how you instruct your people to manage that. Okay. All right, going on down. Okay, you already see my opinion here just because I wrote it to you. Adjust bills allows a user to adjust a bill to zero. Currently both circulators and circ admin can void a bill, which is basically saying this person didn't owe this, they never owed this. Let's take it out of their history. Let's take out of, there is no record left of this bill, which is different than adjusting a bill to zero.
And different from forgiving a bill.
Yes,
Because forgiving does the same thing as voiding, but leaves a history.
right.
Yeah, because I mean, if you are adjusting something, at least if you do the forgive or other things, there's at least some paper trail note that is being made. It's not just zeroed out, no record of anything.
And I like that because then you can say, we did this 3 months ago for you. So when do you think you may have a frequent flyer in that department?
Yeah, and adjust bills to zero can also be used when, okay, picture somebody's lost an item, they've paid for it. So how sometimes it gets a minus amount on their account. This will take it back to where it's zero.
Yeah.
So that's the one good thing about this.
Rhonda, I feel like there's a setting where you can not do negative balances because we had an issue with that for a while. And I'm not on the committee, but I'm super not in favor of this just because void and forgive both exist.
Right.
And there is no paper trail. I had to use my admin login last week because one of our staff accidentally put a $3,000 bill in the
Oops.
in the cash drawer, and I did not want there to be a paper trail of that because there was no $3,000.
Right.
But I don't see why frontline staff would need that. And heaven forbid someone discover it. Like it makes me anxious, but
Right,
that's just me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
That's true.
committee. Is there anybody in favor of adding it? Or are we all kind of leaning to no?
I think in the chat, we have had a library chime in and say that there are times when they would have wanted this. So just to make sure that all voices are heard.
This is another one of my suggestions. So I am in favor of adding it for my people. I hear the reality that permissions can be added one by one but not removed. So I will just say that I'd be in favor of adding it. I understand that other people aren't, and I can still make this happen for the MLC people.
Well,
as
and
I need
it
to.
can come down to a procedure thing in your building, you know, or in your library that you don't, if you see that, you get a second opinion, like your damaged books. And that way they don't think they have the power to do it. But yet they could if they figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm kind of not in favor of it is there are certain things that I think should probably pass through admin. And so this is one of those in my mind that kind of falls to that. But so, sir committee, yay or nay? Terry, what are you thinking?
Ah,
Well, I know Heather's in
I think I'm
Heather's
gonna
in
vote,
favor.
well, I think I'm gonna vote in favor of it because I feel like I think we can manage it here in our building for us. I think we can manage it with procedure.
Hey, Belinda?
My experience with my staff and billing has been that they don't know what they can do unless you show them. So, and my staff don't. I'm a click around and oopsies person. They are not, and I think that's pretty typical of libraries. So I am fine with Circ admin having that function because I do think there are libraries where they will not have the capacity necessarily or the time to always bump it up to the next level. So I'm fine with Circ admin having it. I don't want circulators necessarily to have it, but Circ admin are fine.
Okay. Leanne?
Yeah, I think I'm in favor of it. Again, kind of like she said, just not necessarily show your staff if you don't want them to. Because I have had them, call me multiple times on adjusting things with the negative balances and things like that. So,
Okay, Jennifer?
I do have a lot of click around and find out people, but we can address that in training. So whatever the committee decides is okay by me. I would be a no, but that's all right.
Okay. Well, we've got 4 on the call in favor and 2 not. I'm going to pass some of this by the executive board on Thursday, so I can let them know where we are on that, but it's leaning toward adding it unless the executive board goes, no, don't do that. Okay. So here were some other ones that we looked at and it's like, what in the world does this one even do? And so Circ admin at this point, when you cancel a hold, it'll pop up and give you a reason and you can there's a drop down of reasons: staff forced, patron by phone, patron by email, hold shelf expiration. It just tells you why the hold was canceled. I mean, does that clear up what that is? I don't even remember who it is. I think Circ admin has this already.
So I think my question when I was looking at this, Rhonda, and everybody here is a Circ admin, so that I don't see the circulators. So are circulators able to cancel a hold and they just can't put information about why? Is that how that works for circulators?
I think so.
Okay.
If that's
I
the case,
personally don't know that I
think,
care.
Well, I leave it on staff force just 90% of the time, but in the odd chance that someone did want to say, this order was canceled, I'd love to have that information no matter who canceled the hold, if we can verify that that's definitely what it means.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like the same thing. I feel like our circulators are able to tell why.
A lot of times we just do a manual note anyway. So like when I'm clearing up the like hopeless holds and I cancel something because we just don't have another copy even available to switch it to, I'll just put a note. This
Yeah.
title was canceled because it was a hopeless hold.
Yeah.
And I'll just do a note,
Well,
but
or
not
if it's to the
necessarily on like the
patron.
cancel hold part.
Right. Okay. So are we talking about for the patron view or staff view of this? Because,
It's on our side. When
okay,
you cancel a hold, it'll pop up and say cancel,
right. But I
hold
always like to
cancellation costs.
tell everything I can to why, because I have those 25 patrons who want to know, why did this get canceled? Especially if they didn't ask us to do it. And we can say, well, there wasn't, another copy available, or actually we requested it for you because that copy got damaged and now blah, blah, blah. So I want to do all that we can. I feel like that's customer service on both directions.
Yeah, could you take a quick look and just double check that circulators do not have this?
I'm gonna go out to my desk and try it real quick.
Okay.
So are we talking about adding it to circulators?
Right.
Right. I think it would make sense to add it to circulators because they're going to, your frontline staff are going to be the most likely to use this. And you can just leave it and not,
Yeah, you can
you
leave it
know,
blank.
Right, the note's optional. And it looks like in chat, Ferguson said adding data is a very low risk option, so better to have the
Mhm.
information available than not.
agreed.
I agree
So
with
I
that.
would be fine with circulators having it. I was
Okay.
kind of shocked they didn't have that.
Well, I was too, but I honestly, now it's been long enough that I can't remember. I say on here Circ admin, or I think you said, because I copied what you said, Circ admin has it. But you didn't say circulator, so
Yeah.
maybe Heather will.
Apparently I
be
forgot
able-
what it's called. I'm just scrolling up and down. Was someone saying?
Admin hold cancel clause.
Thank you.
It's going to be at the top because all that
Yeah.
admin stuff is at the top.
Yeah, circulators don't have it, and I don't understand why they don't have it.
So an ad for that. Okay. Then transit check-in interval block override. I think there is a setting that a library can put in place where when you receive an item, instead of immediately notifying somebody that it's there, you delay that notification time by, whatever amount you put in, maybe, it's going to take you 2 hours to get through all of your transit stuff. So you delay the messages going out so you don't have people coming in before you're ready for them to come in. So I think what this would do is override that block, override that delay and force the message through. But again, I don't know, I have not spoken with Equinox about this, but I think that is what this is talking about. So
Was this just we were talking about these, or are we trying to?
yeah, we were just talking about it because we weren't even sure what in the world it really was.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would make a whole lot of difference either unless someone has like a really long hold delay. I mean,
Yeah.
I think most are within an hour. I think ours are set for maybe 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So is it
I
really
just think if you
doing
have
an override at
purposefully,
that point?
if you purposely set a time frame, just stick with the time frame that you've purposefully
I
set.
can't think of a scenario when I would go in and be like, I want to send this early.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then update patron primary card. Heather and I are kind of the opinion that, you know, if you go in and look at all the library cards that people have had, you can have, technically you could have multiple active cards, but you can only have one primary card. And so this update patron primary card currently, I think, lives in Circ admin, but not circulators. If you just go in and replace the card, it automatically makes that new card the primary card. But this, I think you could go in and
Rhonda, I think I had emailed you a response. I don't know if you had seen it. I
Probably
think it would
not.
be useful because we've had several times a patron may have lost their old card, replaced a card, and then they come in with a wallet and they end up pulling out the old card and then they don't
Yep.
have the new one. And so if the frontline staff don't have the ability to do it, they can't get the checkout to work right. Because I've had them have to call me currently in order to make that change, and it can be kind of frustrating.
Agreed. I think circulators should have that permission, because that exact scenario happens all the
All
time.
the time.
Right.
All the time.
And especially since
Totally
we
agree.
sometimes have a keychain card versus a wallet card, and so they might have one versus the other and not realize they're two different barcodes.
Is
Yeah.
this related to, Heather, is this the same thing that we had to do where we make all cards active for like our Libby patrons? Or
So
are
it is separate but similar. If you look just above, you'll see that update patron active card is a
Okay.
permission that circulators already have. And then update primary card is a separate permission. So it's not exactly the same carry, but I think they go together hand in hand. I
Okay.
think circulators should be able to do this.
Yeah, we have a lot of U City residents who come in with the, age-old card after like emailing Reagan to get a new one. So,
Well, this is
maybe.
the classic teenager at Cass County. It's like, they have 6 cards that they've had over their library career, and they get a new one and then lose that and go back to an old one. And so
That's our classic homeschool mom situation.
I'm sure.
No offense, I was one too, but holy cow, they change cards like, I don't know.
No, with the
Yeah.
U City people, it's always they really like those when we changed our card, they really like the low numbers. So it's like kind of their status symbols. Like some of our older residents who've been a library patron for a long, long time.
Okay, so these are ones that I didn't put on the list. But Heather sent me a list and said there are several grantable permissions that seem more like system administrator type things. So Heather, it's like create patron stat cat, that section.
I think without a very good understanding of the system, circulation administrators shouldn't be creating stat cats and creating stat cat entries. That's just my perspective. I think it's very easy to make a mess with those because you're creating options for creating options on the patron's account. I'm really losing my words. I wouldn't like, for example, to come to one of my accounts one day and see that someone had created a patron stat cat and made it required maybe. And I just think there's some confusion that could happen there.
I think decisions about stat cats are going to be made at a higher level. So it makes sense that it is kept at a higher level, that permission.
Do you feel like there's any library in our consortium that like local admin person has delegated that to somebody else? I don't want to, I personally don't see why they need it, but on the other hand, I don't want to take away from somebody something that they are actively using.
Well, and this won't impact current humans, right? This just impacts what is loaded in the future. Let me ask that question now.
I think it will affect everybody.
Okay.
Because once you, I mean, this is what Evergreen is gonna go, these are the permissions. Yeah. So if we add something, I think it would be added. If we take it out, I think it would be,
So the people who have added things will have to re-add them after this is applied? Is that what I'm understanding?
don't,
Because I just thought
think
this was
so.
your base set for anybody that onboards in the future. And so you're, just because you mentioned taking it away from somebody. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I thought this was just the permissions that in the future we would use when we're onboarding people to make it a little bit easier, to make sure everybody has what they might need, but that this would not change any current accounts and what is on current accounts.
Yeah. Okay, that's a Jennifer Weston question, I think. She would be able to tell me pretty quickly.
Okay.
If it doesn't take away something that's already granted to somebody,
Mhm.
then I don't have a problem with taking it out. If it does and somebody's using it, then I mean, I just
Yeah.
don't know. There was a thing in, Heather, can you explain, or Belinda, explain what stat cats are? There was a question in the,
I'll go and then Belinda can correct me and or add information. But StatCats are patron statistical categories are questions that are optional pieces of data collection that you can add to a patron's account if the registration form doesn't contain all the information that you'd like to know about your patrons. So I know that lots of libraries have a StatCat to say, do you want to sign up for the newsletter? Yes, no. We have one about residency, or if you've got wards or districts that you'd like to keep track of, you can add that. They are customizable by library, and you can make them required if you need to for your patrons.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think almost every library that I've talked to that uses them, it is for something to do with residency. They have to pull specific reports about their users because of the district that they're in. And so they need a little more detail than they can get easily from Missouri Evergreen, and from those reports is generally how I have had it explained to me. We don't use them. So I have one that I made that I played on. So back to Heather's mention of people like just doing things.
so then the other thing I think I saw in chat was, this is more a conversation of, do we take it away from Circ admin? Do we think this is really something that should remain in local admin as opposed to a Circ admin person? So that's kind of where we're going with it.
And I think some of it is just how you consider it for your library. But when I think of circulation administrator, someone who can control circulation for their library, we want them to be able to have the power over patron accounts and their charges and checkouts and transits. But when we talk about adding something to the patron account, adding the question itself to the patron account, that does affect the whole library. So that to me seems like a local admin, because it's sort of more holistic than that, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm trying not to split hairs, because there was a question in chat about are we saying that circulators should not be able to add information to a StatCat? And that's not the question. Everyone should be able to add information to the StatCat. The question is, who can create the StatCat itself and the values that belong as part of the StatCat question.
So Krista, did that answer your question, what Heather said? Okay, perfect.
Okay, this, do you feel like this might need to go on our find out more information thing, or are we ready to vote on it?
I think
Oh,
I
sorry.
could vote on this. And I think my concern is, I think the only question I had was how this is being utilized, whether it's for just new accounts or for old accounts. Because here's the thing, if it's for old accounts, I think lots of libraries have made changes. And so if we're updating all accounts that are currently used, I think libraries need some time and need that information ahead of time and the date, because they're going to have to go back in and redo all those permissions again that they have especially
Definitely.
done over multiple years. So I think I'm ready to vote on this and make a decision, but not implement anything until we have that answer specifically.
I think personally, I think I'd rather find out what's going to happen, because that might affect my
Okay.
vote one way or the other. Also, like I said, I'm going to be taking it to the executive board, so they may have considerations too on, may want to weigh in on that. I do think
Absolutely.
it's probably going to come back to us as the ultimate deciders, but I would take into definitely take the executive board's recommendations to, seriously consider them. So, and then the other section was delete billing type, delete circ duration, all of that delete stuff. Heather, if you could show kind of some of that. Again, it falls into the same category, similar to the StatCat, where, this would be where you can actually go in and say, what shows up on my billing list?
And I think
It
that's similar
doesn't
to what
need,
Belinda said before. Those conversations happen at a higher level. Those are not conversations that are happening at the circ desk while you're talking with a patron. Like deciding what should be in the dropdown is something that is decided elsewhere.
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, well, let me try and get with Jennifer Weston to find out the answers to some of these questions. And then we'll talk again. But I just needed to have a better grasp on what the committee was thinking on the things that we already had kind of looked at and were not sure or wanted to add. So then the second thing I want to talk about is I would like maybe two people to read through everything that is on our circulation training resource page to see if anything needs to be updated. Because people go there as, okay, this is where you go for information on how you're going to do things. I know the deleting, purging patrons document needs to be changed because the report doesn't look like it used to look like. So it's a small thing, but it's things like that that we probably need to go back, read through the CERC manual. Belinda and Leanne and I are going, been there, done that. But if I could have a couple of committee members who would be willing, I mean, I'm going to take a look at it, but I just feel like if there's two or three, we'll catch everything that needs to be
Yeah.
updated.
Hey.
Are you trying to do that by next
Phones are
gathering?
down.
By when?
By the next meeting, or is there a deadline on trying to get that read?
Not necessarily. Summer is, I don't know about your library, but summer is crazy here. Once I got moved to admin, I have a little bit more breathing room than what I used to have. But I just think by the fall, we need to be able to have everything updated and have everything gone through again to make sure that we're
I think
really,
we'll be okay.
we've got the accurate information
Summer school's out, isn't it?
for libraries to,
Oh, okay.
I don't have a problem reading through it.
okay.
That would be helpful.
Heather, will
Yeah, I
you,
don't mind either.
Leanne? Okay, great. If we can just kind of read through it and start making notes, so then we'll probably take it up more like August, September, but that would give you plenty of time to, in your spare moments, get in there and do, I don't know how many spare moments you have, but in your spare moments, get in there and do. All right, good. All right.
And Leanne and
So,
Terry, if you want a third person, I can help you as well.
Definitely.
committee and you want to read through it, great. The more, the more eyes, the better. So. Crystal, I didn't even realize you were on the call. I never even called you once. Did you disagree with anything that the committee has said?
No,
I am
I
so
actually
sorry.
agreed. I agreed with all of it, actually. I think
Okay.
most of them would be great ideas.
Okay. I am so sorry.
No, you're okay.
Well,
Nope,
no, not
don't
really,
worry.
but thank you for your gracious
Yeah,
spirit there. So I
for sure.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that anybody would like to bring before the committee? And otherwise, we're going to be done.
You guys didn't vote on that hold thing, right? That hold, cancel, cause. I stepped out to go try it out on a patron account because I wanted to see it on their machines. And you didn't decide anything on that, did you? Or
I thought we lent, well, let's just officially do. Committee,
Well,
thumbs up, thumbs down.
I have so many questions on it. Can we talk about it next time maybe?
Sure.
Did we talk about delete user?
I don't
missed
think
it?
we did.
Oh, yeah. Delete user. Oh, I thought we were done. This would be where you go in and you can permanently delete somebody. Again, this is something that I think needs to go through the admin process. What is your criteria for doing it? Now, whether a Circ admin could do it or not, I mean, obviously it's easy enough to do. The question is, do we want them? Or do we want them to, or do we want to force them to go through an admin
You're
person
talking about
to,
like a local admin account.
yeah,
Oh, I thought you meant.
because this would be
okay.
purging a patron out of the
A patron.
system.
A patron or
Mhm.
a admin?
A patron.
Oh, gotcha.
I would, for us, I would want the circulation admin to be able to do that. I don't want a circulator to do it, but I would want a circulator admin to do that.
I agree with that.
Mhm.
Jennifer? I couldn't tell what you were thinking.
I couldn't tell what I was thinking either. I'm pretty
Oh.
neutral on this one. I feel like it could go either way. I don't think I have a strong opinion either way.
Okay.
Well, once it's purged, it's purged.
Yeah, once it's done, it's done. It's not like
Ah.
retrievable. So
It
that
does give you
was,
all those scary messages first.
It
It's-
does.
yeah,
It
do
does
you really,
do that.
do you really
Are
want
you
to
sure?
do
Do
this?
they have any bills? Are you sure? Did they leave their shoes here at the library? Are you sure? Yeah.
Okay, so is that thumbs up, thumbs down? Do we want to table that for a bit or?
I'm a thumbs up.
I think that's an easy one.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Trying to take notes so I get my list of add and don't add. Okay. Thank you. Was it Leanne who reminded us of that? Thank you. All right. Anything else? Anything else from anybody who is listening to this conversation and you're just thinking, no, don't do that. Or anything like that. If you would like to chime in, this is your big chance. Okay, well then, have a wonderful afternoon. This went a little bit longer than what I was hoping, but I did want to get through some of this stuff so that we could, we've kind of tabled it for a while and we need to get back to it and get it all the way done. So, all right, have a very good afternoon. Thanks for everybody who sat through the whole meeting. Bye.
You.
Thanks,
Thanks, Rhonda.
Rhonda. Bye.